Generally speaking, cartridges are far less susceptible to long-term damage than CDs and DVDs, at least when they're well taken care of. This opens up a lot of historically great platforms like the Super Famicom, Mega Drive, and the one that we only got a tiny slice of in North America, the PC Engine. That being said, this is easily your worst option. Awareness of retro games increased by a lot in the last few years, and people who had the means to spend on their libraries did so in droves, jacking prices up to levels thought unimaginable just 5 years ago. Now there are huge swaths of each system's libraries, both domestic and import, that you have no reasonable hope to obtain unless you are objectively, independently wealthy. Worse, when you're playing on the original hardware rather than modern third-party devices, the need to navigate converters, boot disks, and potentially disparate video standards are as much of a thing now as they were back in the day, which may be more trouble than it's worth. Clearly I'm terrible at following my own advice because your boy just bought a PC Engine. I'm Patrick, welcome back to Little Akiba Games. This'll be a fun one. When I first kicked off the channel rebrand, I did so with a video called Your Many Inroads to Import Gaming, which was meant to be an introductory crash course type of video to the import gaming scene through many different lenses, one of which was real retro hardware. The clip you just saw was taken from that, and yes, it does reflect how I really feel about the retro gaming market in 2023. However, I do want to be able to produce videos about all of these different methods of import gaming from a first-hand informed perspective, which means I have to actively participate in each of these methods myself. Anything less would be disingenuous. On the bright side, it gives me the opportunity to live out all of my childhood import gaming dreams, which was the prevailing feeling that I had when I was shopping online for the PC Engine, and for which I am truly grateful. It was an early birthday present to myself, to be honest, even though it's set to arrive a day late. Of course, I can always fire up RetroArch on my computer and have access to whatever games I want from whatever generation or region, but owning real import hardware and games is an indulgence for my younger self. That kid who grew up reading about PC Engine titles in the pages of EGM and GamePro, desperately wishing for the chance to participate in one of the deepest parts of the gaming medium. I'd do it anyway for the channel for reasons I've already described, but this part of it just puts a huge smile on my face. That feeling of searching around for the system and games and realizing I'm not just window shopping is remarkable. If you're watching this video and are a newcomer to import gaming, or haven't even taken that first step yet, it's a feeling I hope I can share with you someday. That's really why I'm doing all this. Let's talk about the system itself. My PC Engine of choice is the Core Graphics 2, which I got at a really great price compared to what you see them sell for even in Japan's best aftermarket shops. The nice thing about the Core Graphics 2, worst color scheme in the PC Engine line aside, is the fact that it supports composite out from the system itself, without the need for any unsightly add-ons. Space efficiency is critical in my current living situation, so avoiding an accessory that nearly doubles the size of the console is a huge win. This is the best version of the standard PC Engine, good picture quality in the same compact package the system is famous for. Of course, retro hardware is notorious for not getting along with HD TVs, so I'm going to need a new display to handle this side of things. Meet the Samsung GX TV, my dream TV from my teenage years and the official set of all Toys R Us demo stations in the late 90s. Incidentally, the first time I got to see Castlevania Symphony of the Night in motion, it was on one of these sets. I picked this one up a few years ago when I still had most of my domestic retro gear, but have yet to call it into service to this day. The arrival of my PC Engine will change that. As for games, Outrun was a must. It's unlikely that you followed this channel for any amount of time and not figured out how much I love that series. It also happens to be a fantastic arcade port on the PC Engine, one that I would even put above Sega's first-party releases from around the same time. I wish I was as good at it as I am at Outrun 2, but now that I own this, I'll be getting a lot of practice. It's blasphemy to own a PC Engine and not a single shmup, and thankfully, my favorite installment of the Star Soldier series is also by far the most affordable. I discovered Final Soldier a few years back when I was getting heavily into retro mini-modding and was exploring my options for PC Engine games to pack into my PlayStation Classic after the TurboGrafx 16 mini hack just kept getting kicked down the road. It's definitely the PC Engine shmup I'm best at, though I definitely intend to practice up on certain others in the near future as well. Generally speaking, I wish I was better at shmups than I currently am, and now I'm invested. I always loved Galaga, going as far back as playing it at the laundromat from an extremely young age whenever I would join my mom or grandma on their laundry trips. Somehow, despite being a TurboGrafx 16 owner as a kid, and not being the only Galaga fan in the house, Galaga 90 never ended up in my library, so Galaga 88 was a must-buy for my newly acquired PC Engine. I love it in RetroArch, I love it on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, and I know for a fact I'm going to love it on my Core Graphics too. As a self-respecting fighting gamer, there's no way the software and accessory cost of admission would keep me from owning one of the most peculiar pieces of fighting game history, now that I have the requisite system. Street Fighter II Champion Edition made its first console appearance on the PC Engine, and both NEC and its third-party accessory partners, not the least of which was Hori, moved heaven and earth to accommodate the home version, making this game a pivotal figure in the birth of the import gaming scene, which I recently covered on this channel. Unfortunately, PC Engine versions of the Hori Fighting Commander, which would have been my first gamepad choice, are really starting to go up in value. But a pair of NEC Avenue 6 controllers were slightly more reasonably priced, and TurboTaps are still surprisingly affordable, so Champion Edition thankfully rounds out my initial PC Engine library. Where do I go from here? Probably not far, to be honest. Of course, the TurboTap reserves a spot in my library for Bomberman 94, and there are some other reasonably priced titles I'd like to pick up, like Bari Bari Densetsu or Salamander. But anything on the pricier end is more likely to cause the purchase of a Turbo EverDrive Pro than get me to indulge the aftermarket. $200-ish for an EverDrive is just a much better value proposition than potentially dropping an entire rack hunting down Magical Chase. Please don't be that guy, I promise I never will. Is this it for me with import hardware? I highly doubt it. At the very least, there's a Super Famicom out there somewhere with my name on it, which I'm sure will be in my possession by the end of the year, along with plenty of games for it that I would love to involve in my Google Translate experiment. On top of that, if I'm really going to be living out my old import gaming aspirations, that won't be complete until I have my own copy of Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2, even if the reality has long since undercut the excitement I had for that game as a kid. It's just too important a part of my gaming history to not have it in my library. Of course, I still also have a Japanese PlayStation 2 and a mountain of games for that, which appear to not be going anywhere for at least the time being. Wherever I end up going with all this, rest assured you're along for the ride. After all, the entire point of this is not to get deeper into import gaming myself, although I'm certainly not complaining about that benefit, but to open up that world to all of you and be able to advise you better about it no matter how you decide to approach it. So stay tuned, friends. That's all for now. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe as always. Everything that helps tell YouTube that you like what's going on over here. Click the notification bell to know right away when the next video drops. I look forward to seeing you back here next time at Little Akiba Games.